Imagine, imagine standing shoulder to shoulder in the aisle of this freezing, lurching train for 20 hours straight.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Right, like you literally cannot sit. You can't step forward, you can't even turn around.
Yeah, you're just totally trapped.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And in that exact moment, your definition of, ultimate human happiness just shrinks down to one single pathetic desire, a horizontal surface.
Wow,
I mean, even if it's made of gravel, you just don't care about your career trajectory or your retirement portfolio.
Right, or finding your life's purpose or whatever.
Exactly. You just want to lie down. So today, we are sort of stripping away all those complex modern recipes for fulfillment. We're looking at a landscape of joy that is, honestly, it's shockingly raw.
It really is. It's a profound recalibration, I think, because we spend so much time treating happiness like a luxury item we have to earn through all this intricate life optimization.
Oh, totally. Like the morning routines and all that.
Right. And we completely forget that our brains and bodies operate on a very strict, non-negotiable biological hierarchy.
Which is exactly what we are deconstructing today. So welcome to this deep dive. Today we're exploring a really fascinating essay from January 9, 2020.
Yeah, it's titled A Few Tales of Happiness.
Right, written by Su Feng. And it was translated by Qin and edited by K.R. And what makes this source so compelling for us is that it traces the author's personal history across 4 decades.
From 1979 all the way to 2020?
Yeah, spanning multiple continents and just like wildly different living conditions. We're going to see how our definition of joy shifts from basic survival to complex social connections.
Yeah, and through those shifting environments, we get this sort of real-time map of how the human definition of joy mutates. I mean, it's not an academic textbook list of needs.
No, definitely.
It's this grounded, visceral examination of what happens to the mind when different layers of survival are challenged.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the author actually starts this exploration in the rugged agricultural landscape of China in the summer of 1979.
Right, at the Lujiaxia Reservoir.
Exactly. The author is a former village official, someone who had earned a pretty solid reputation over 3 years of service, and they're on a summer ferry returning home from Zhangjiakou.
And this is where they meet the villager, right?
Yeah. On this boat, they run into a middle-aged villager from Dazai village. They start catching up, and the villager says something that permanently anchors the author's understanding of joy.
Oh, the quote about the food.
Yeah, he says, things are fine now. We have plenty of food to eat, and if we farmers continue to have enough food for the rest of our lives, then it will be a great blessing.
What's fascinating here is the sheer biological minimalism of that statement.
Totally.
For this villager, happiness is completely decoupled from wealth or status or legacy. It's literally just the absence of hunger.
Just having enough calories.
Exactly. And there's a profound neurological mechanism behind this. When a human being operates in a caloric deficit, the brain literally narrows its field of vision.
Like you get tunnel vision for food.
Yeah. The hypothalamus, which regulates hunger, just begins screaming at the rest of the nervous system. You physically lose the cognitive bandwidth to care about higher level concepts.
Wow.
So by securing just enough food, the very first tier of human contentment is unlocked. The alarm bells in the brain finally go quiet.
I mean, think about the last time you were just incredibly hungry. Like maybe you skipped lunch and got stuck in traffic.
Right, the hangry phase.
Right, you get irritable, you can't focus on your favorite audiobook, you snap at people. Your whole reality warps.
It totally does.
Now multiply that by a lifetime of food insecurity. It makes complete sense that a full stomach is the absolute ceiling of joy for that villager.
That's exactly the mechanism at play. The brain prioritizes immediate biological imperatives over literally everything else.
Which brings us back to that freezing train I mentioned.
Oh, right. The 1981 trip.
Yeah, because the author takes us to the winter of 1981 to demonstrate another fundamental biological need. They were taking a slow traditional train with someone named A Huang.
Traveling through the freezing terrain of northwestern China, right?
Exactly, from Jiuquan back home to visit relatives in Linxia. And it stops at every single small station, like something like 50 stops just to get to Lanzhou.
And because it's the lead up to the Spring Festival, the train coming from Xinjiang is already completely packed by the time they board.
Packed to the point where they are just wedged in the aisle. For 20 hours.
I can't even imagine.
Think about the last time you were truly sleep-deprived. maybe after a red-eye flight or like staying up with a sick kid, remember how completely indifferent you became to your inbox or your social media feed?
Oh, completely. You just don't care.
The author remembers that in that excruciating 20-hour moment, lying on a bed of gravel would have felt like an incredible blessing.
It's kind of like a video game health bar.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah. When your character's health is flashing red, the game's code literally locks you out of the kingdom building menu.
Right, you can't access the side quests. Exactly.
Yeah.
You physically cannot access those higher level side quests because your operating system redirects all processing power to finding a basic health potion.
That analogy perfectly captures the neurology of the situation because when you're sleep deprived, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex planning and social behavior, it starts to power down.
It just goes offline.
Pretty much. Your amygdala, the primitive threat detection center, completely takes over. So that flashing red health bar is your brainstem demanding immediate restoration.
Wow.
You cannot access the kingdom building menu of life because your brain has revoked your access until you sleep.
And the author actually scales this biological imperative up to a mythic level with a third story, the legend of Empress Nua.
Ah, yes, the ancient myth.
Yeah, so according to this legend, there was a group of unusual people born with miraculous powers, but they used these powers to fight for survival resources, plunging the common people into misery.
So Empress Nua intervenes.
Right, she banishes them to the netherworld. But the punishment isn't fire or anything like that. It's a place with no rivers, no springs, no lakes, and hardly any rain.
Just absolute deprivation of water.
Exactly. For thousands of years, the king and his subjects endure unrelenting thirst. Their ultimate vision of happiness is just to take, quote, big mouthfuls of water.
Which perfectly cements the foundation of the author's philosophy here. True misery is rooted in physical deprivation.
Right.
Modern society constantly layers our happiness with these complex expectations, career milestones, perfectly curated vacations.
Aesthetic homes on Instagram.
Exactly. But when you are starving, exhausted, or parched, all of those philosophical complexities instantly vanish.
They don't matter at all.
Not at all. Satisfying these base biological needs isn't just basic survival. When you've been severely deprived of them, a glass of water or a bed of gravel is the purest, most concentrated form of dopamine the human brain can experience.
But once that biological baseline is met, once the stomach is full, the thirst is quenched, and the body is rested, the brain doesn't just stay perfectly content, does it?
No, unfortunately not. It immediately creates a new void.
Right. We transition from needing basic survival elements to demanding something much more complex.
Yeah, we move up the ladder to the psychology of satisfaction. The brain demands a reason to use the energy it just secured.
And we see exactly how this manifests when the author moves to Africa in the autumn of 1997.
The Zimbabwe story.
Yes, they're living in Harare, Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And the address is incredibly specific, which I love. No, 10 Mount Pleasant Forest Road.
It really grounds the story.
It does. They've registered a company called Golden Crown Marketing, Pete Ltd., and they're running 2 stores located 50 kilometers away.
So that's a 100-kilometer round-trip commute every single day.
Every single day. They are working from the moment the sky gets light until night falls, just completely, utterly exhausted. Yet the author tells Awang that having something to do with your life, regardless of how exhausted it makes you, is happiness.
This is where we see the human drive for purpose.
Yeah.
Once the physical body is no longer flashing that red warning light, the mind seeks to impose its will on the world. The exhaustion in Zimbabwe isn't the oppressive, forced suffering of that 1981 train ride.
Oh, that's a good distinction.
Yeah, it's the voluntary exhaustion of building something. It's dopaminergic. The brain is actually rewarding the author for pursuing and achieving goals.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because I have to push back on this. The very next story the author tells seems to completely contradict this whole idea of, exhaustion as happiness.
Okay, let's hear it.
So we jump to the winter of 2017. The author is living with Ihwang and Foyi in a hut on a Pacific island in Vanuatu. They are literally just 10 meters from the sea.
I mean, in a travel brochure, living in a hut on the beach sounds like the ultimate reward for a life of hard work, the quintessential island paradise.
Right. But the reality is a visceral nightmare.
Oh, yeah. The details are rough.
The hut is ventilated on all sides. It is unbearably hot. They can't even use the sheet. Mosquitoes are constantly biting them, waking them up all night long. And the absolute kicker, small mice, are literally falling from the straw roof onto them while they try to sleep.
It's horrifying.
In that moment, the author realizes that happiness is actually just having a house that blocks the wind and rain and sleeping safely under a quilt without being attacked by pests.
Right?
So how can both be true? How can exhaustion and the grind be the pinnacle of happiness in Zimbabwe, but absolute sheltered rest is the definition of happiness in Vanuatu?
I know it looks like a contradiction, but it's actually the core rhythm of human psychology. It's exertion versus restoration.
Okay, exertion versus restoration.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In Zimbabwe, the exhaustion is self-directed. The author is exerting energy outward to build a business which satisfies that psychological need for purpose. But purpose requires a safe harbor to recharge.
Ah, so the environment in Vanuatu was actively destroying the safe harbor.
Precisely. Think about the sensory contrast here. In Zimbabwe, the exhaustion is a mental triumph. But in Vanuatu, the exhaustion is imposed by the environment. It's a visceral, physical invasion.
Right, you're literally being attacked by nature.
Exactly. You cannot execute high-level purpose if you are experiencing cortisol spikes all night from being hunted by mosquitoes or having rodents fall on your face.
Yeah, no, totally.
The brain's threat detection system is reactivated. So the definition of happiness immediately shifts again. It evolves to mean a solid wall, an impenetrable quilt, a barrier between you and the chaotic elements. You need the exertion of the mind, but the absolute safety of the body to recover from that exertion.
Wow, that makes so much sense. You need the safe hut to be able to go out and run the stores.
Exactly.
So let's look at where we are. The author has water, they have food, they have a safe room with a solid roof, a bed, a protective quilt, and a sense of purpose. Both the biological and psychological health bars are completely full.
But there's one more piece.
Yes. The author introduces one final piece to this puzzle.
The sociology of joy, the fundamental necessity of other people.
And they explore this through two staggeringly different environments. First, we go to the summer of 2011 in Yunnan province.
Ah, the courtyard.
Yeah, the author is standing on the second floor of the first branch of Lifechanyuan. They're looking down into a courtyard, and it is just vibrant. It's full of their celestial brothers and sisters walking back and forth, talking, laughing.
Sounds amazing.
It is. The author is struck by this spontaneous wave of joy, realizing that true happiness is having wonderful people accompany you on the journey of life.
It's the ultimate manifestation of physical community. Sharing physical space, mirroring each other's body language, hearing the cadence of laughter. It hits all the evolutionary buttons for social safety.
It sounds incredibly warm. But then we fast forward to the present day of the essay, Sunday, January 12, 2020, the first day of winter.
Quite a shift.
A massive shift.
Yeah.
The author is in Canada, overlooking Lake Laklahash. We go from this noisy, laughing courtyard in Yunnan to absolute freezing isolation in British Columbia.
Just totally cut off.
Yeah. The sky and the earth are just one continuous sheet of white. It's completely silent, except for the occasional sound of traffic from Caribou Highway, Route 97.
And the temperatures were brutal, right?
Oh, insanely brutal. The forecast for that specific Sunday is a high of minus 26 degrees Celsius and a low of minus 35 degrees.
Which is an environment that actively isolates you. I mean, you cannot survive outside for long. You are physically trapped by the temperature.
You are totally physically isolated. But despite this freezing, silent environment, the author declares that they are the, quote, happiest person in the world.
Right.
And I have to push back here because I struggle to buy that a digital courtyard replaces physical warmth. Neurologically speaking, don't we need physical touch, proximity, and eye contact to release oxytocin? How is a virtual community giving this author the exact same profound happiness as that physical courtyard in Yunnan?
This raises an important question, and it's a totally valid skepticism, but we have to look at the foundational steps the author just built. Remember, by 2020 in Canada, every single underlying need is aggressively secured. The author has abundant food, clean water, a highly protective house to block out the minus 35-degree cold, a warm quilt, and a deep sense of purpose.
So the base of the pyramid is solid.
Unshakable. And when your biological and physical safety net is that impenetrable, your brain possesses an immense amount of surplus cognitive energy.
Ah, so the brain has the energy to bridge the physical gap.
Exactly. The community from 2011 hasn't disappeared. The medium of connection has just evolved.
Right, they moved online.
Yeah. The author explains that they now accompany each other mentally and spiritually in the virtual world of cyberspace. When your physical reality is perfectly safe, cognitive empathy, the ability to feel deeply connected to someone's thoughts and emotions, it doesn't strictly require physical touch.
Oh, wow.
The mind can fully project into digital spaces to extract genuine social fulfillment. The psychological bond is strong enough to cut right through the minus 35-degree Canadian winter.
That is fascinating. So because they aren't worried about the literal freezing cold or starving, their brain can fully accept a text message or a forum post as a profound social embrace.
Exactly.
The internet basically becomes the ultimate borderless courtyard for the mind.
It proves that true connection isn't bound by geography. Once the foundation is laid, human companionship really transcends physical proximity.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at this entire four-decade journey from the 1979 ferry boat to the 2020 frozen Canadian lake, the author distills the ultimate formula for human happiness down to a checklist of 7 remarkably simple things.
Let's hear them.
Having water to drink, having food to eat, having a room to live in, having a bed to sleep on, having a quilt at night, having something to do, and having a group of wonderful people to accompany you.
7 pillars. 3 biological, 2 psychological, 2 sociological.
It just completely strips away all the anxiety of modern ambition. In fact, the essay ends by turning directly to the reader. The author simply asks, have you found your happiness?
It's a great question.
It forces you to look around your own life and audit your actual reality rather than your, perceived lack of success.
It does. But I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder that builds on the underlying mechanics of this entire text.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Notice the distinct pattern in the author's life. They only realized the profound, life-altering joy of a simple flat bed after being forced to stand on a lurching train for 20 hours.
Right.
And they only understood the deep blessing of a quilt and a solid roof after suffering through the misery of mosquito bites and mice falling from a straw ceiling.
They needed the darkness to see the light.
Exactly. What if the true essence of human happiness isn't just the passive acquisition of these 7 things?
What do you mean?
Well, what if resonant, lasting joy actually requires having survived the deprivation of them first? Can any of us ever truly, deeply appreciate our own warm quilt or a simple glass of water if we have never been forced to go without them? Is the contrast a prerequisite for the joy?
Wow. That completely shifts how you view the hardest moments of your own past. It means that the times you were deprived, exhausted, or isolated are actually the necessary lenses through which you can finally recognize your current happiness.
Exactly.
Take a moment to look around you today. Notice your roofs, your water, your bed. The foundation of your joy is probably already there, just waiting to be recognized. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Have you found your happiness?